Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 17th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. BST. Now, I've made it my life's journey to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are literally the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, in the background, we have Storm handling all the tech and making sure problem children don't get to be problem children. They will simply be bounced outside of the room. They can still listen, but they won't be able to interact. Net result, my stress remains at a minimal. So thanks so much for that, Storm. Really appreciate it. Then we have LA Moon in the house. She is the other dominant moderator. And what she does is make certain that the communication lines or the discussion carries on if nobody else is talking, and also make certain I stay on top of my health. Well, on the plus side, I've already had pizza tonight. Really cut back on my coffee. I don't think I made any today. Okay, I don't know if I want to call that cut back or just was too lazy. But I do apologize. I was supposed to be on earlier tonight, but family responsibilities definitely got in the way. So today we are looking at Laborians. Okay, a dominant feline race that is on Earth here. It's been here for millennia. Well, in all fairness, it's been here for eons. But the Laborians are around the 6 to 7 foot mark, depending on who they are. But you're looking 6 to 7 feet tall. Definitely appear as a feline, as bipedal. Now, the two things you got to realize: these guys are not from here, but people's biological clocks are geared to the planet upon which they're born. Now, these guys come from a very great distance. I can't give you a star location. I can tell you that one orbit of their sun, okay, is literally, correction, one rotation of their planet is literally 1,000 years on Earth. Okay, now these guys only live about 35 years. But, and I had this calculated out the other day, just yesterday, I think. Oh, of course. I really don't know why I had to figure that out. 365 days at 1,000 years. Really need a calculator, guys. Okay, their average lifespan, whoops, that's 1 year, would be 360. That's what that was. 365 days in 1 year, but that's years, times 35 years of theirs. And we have an average lifespan on Earth of 12,775 years. Now, LA, no, they are essentially humanoid. I mean, they are bipedal. Laborians are bipedal. Okay, and even when they run on 2 legs. There are some feline races that run on 4, but the Laborians run on 2. Mind you, the other thing you got to take into consideration, they come from a high gravity world. Okay, so they do their bone density is something bizarre. Okay, they do, however, have, you'll love this one, retractable claws, both hands and feet. Okay, and they've got proper feline teeth. Now, when you take a look at them, you'd think, you know of the Egyptian, of the Egyptian goddess Bast. Okay, looks like she's got a feline head, and that's pretty much where it ends. These guys are hirsute, meaning they're completely covered in fur. Their coloring varies. Okay, just like Terran felines, Terran house cats. Okay, so yeah, they are definitively furred all over. Neat part about it, and this is where it gets a little dicey with them. Every one of them has a genetic hiccup. Okay, you would call them a mutation in all likelihood, but when you take a look at them, number one, they look like a bipedal cat without the tail. In most cases, there are some that are born with a tail, but in the case of a Laborian, if they're born with a tail, that tail is full length. But in most cases, it is not prehensile. These guys' genetics are all over the board. But they are a matriarchal society, but they're run in small clans. They never became they're technically a world government, but you're talking about interactive clans where they literally have their own little units, and they manage to elect people into a governmental position, you're the spokesperson for our people. This does not mean that they do not have catfights. This means that they will, when faced with a global problem, they will put their own differences aside and turn around and work together. Okay, but they work in high density material. So whatever you're looking at, pack it twice as hard as you would think. This means when they get here, their talons will go through. It will go through low-grade armor plating without a problem. Okay, your car doors, they'll cut through them with their claws. Okay, now fortunately, on the whole, they do their best not to create a problem. They are hunters, but that means they strike fast, they kill quickly, and as cleanly as they can get away with. Okay, but they are not conquerors. Okay, the neatest part about it, from their standpoint, yes, they came here on a slave ship. Okay, they came here on a Kamalian ship, eons back. There weren't many of them, and sad to say, there's fewer still. Okay, but their range of different abilities is, well, quite frankly, it's twisted. Okay, the best I can tell you is if you look at the various different abilities humans have, these guys make those look mild, but they will work together. Okay, and like I said, they are by no means combat oriented. Now, they give birth when they give birth, it is a live birth. Okay, usually only one or two kids. Okay, the reality is it is not unheard of. It's reasonably common to see as many as 8 born to one family, but the norm is 1 or 2. The thing is, they are carnivores, and they come in ready within reason to take care of themselves. They do, however, have a very strong family bond. Now, they managed to put things together. They do have a servant society. The intriguing part about it is they didn't start working with technology until after they were discovered. Okay, They do have a natural ability with technology. They just don't have the resources, or more to the point, the refined resources on their own planet. So what they do is they work with other races in order to build their ships. Now, the Laborians here did not come on their own ship. Okay, they came via slave trade. Needless to say, bearing in mind it was the Kamalians, a reptilian race, an offshoot of the Sargon, that brought them here. Okay, and when they brought them here, it was supposed to be going elsewhere, but their ship crashed. Frankly, you'll find it somewhere in the heart of the Antarctic, in the heart of the Antarctic ice floe. Okay, not dead in the middle, because, well, let's face it, that doesn't happen all that often. But in answer to that question that brings up, yes, the Atlanteans did know of the Laborians. Okay, but that's because the Atlanteans, when they landed right near where the Laborians were. Now, Laborians are, like I said, they are a combat race. They are a matriarch. Okay, but when we're talking muscle tension or muscle ratios, okay, let me put it this way. There is one individual I know of that likes, so to speak, modern weaponry. Modern being mid-19th century. And he had himself built now, I don't know if you'll know what this weapon is. It's a 460 Magnum. But if you watch the movie Tremors, that gun in the corner underneath in the basement of Reba McEntire's place, that's a 460. Okay, now take that. This guy had custom built a 460 Magnum pepper box with a carbine length barrel, and he fires it one-handed. This may give you an idea of their muscle power. Okay, but these guys they're survivors. Yes, they're hunters. Thankfully, they ended up in the southern reaches, and therefore they can hunt in the forest without any problem. Are they capable of hunting on the plains? Yes. They just prefer the secrecy, if you will, or the camouflage of the forest. And yeah, the rainforest definitely works better for them. With that in mind, much as they are a combat race, they are a warrior race, they are not bloodthirsty. They hunt for what they require, not for what they can kill. You know, something that I know of a lot of people that could really use a run on that. So the Laborians have a very definitive clan structure, usually occupying about 50 or 60 people. Now, that means on Earth, they only have 3 or 4 clans. But they are all, to the best of my knowledge, down in the southern reaches. Now, you get to figure out whereabouts. The last one I knew of was in about the middle of the Argentinian forest. Okay, I know of a couple that had gotten up into the Amazonian jungle. Okay, but these are guys that don't leave tracks behind. Okay, the other thing you got to remember is they are not, when you're looking at who is the leader. Well, number one, they literally, for lack of a better term, they elect their leader. But their leader ends up as a leader via trial through combat. So the strongest one survives the leader. And they very seldom fight to the death amongst themselves. Okay, These are people that will absolutely back their leader, even if they've got a war going on between two clans. And the leader says, we've got to go and do this. If she says it's time to go, the conflict is shelved. Literally on the spot. They put the conflict aside, and the clans will band together under the banner of the matriarch. Now you got to remember, if they decide they're going to war, they're going to war with no quarter asked, no quarter given. And the neat part about it is these guys, when we talk about never leaving never leaving one behind, they don't. But you really don't want to stop them from taking their dead. If they stop a fight to take their dead out of the equation, you might want to let them, because they take very great offense to it if you don't. Sure, we're going to link. I like that. When you're looking at Laborians, you're looking at a race that is extremely proud of its fitness. Okay, so you're looking at very lithe, very muscle bound. Okay, but we're talking wiry muscle. Well, Ryder, how are you? Happy St. Patty's Day to you as well. Well, I'm still breathing, so I must have been safe. The reality is I'm Scottish. Well, in all fairness, I'm Canadian. Second generation. But, Laborians themselves are an interesting people. Very attuned to their own histories, not so much to others. The reality is they are not exactly history buffs. Okay, but they are honor bound to follow the laws of the land in which they are. Okay, this is very necessary. Callie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we can go back up here just to check. And yes, Will, you have the gold. There is no doubt there. Wu has the gold and Cowie is in with the silver. Rachel, how you doing? You are in with bronze. Hopefully things are going well for you. When we take a look at the Laborians, and yes, not only have I started putting this information in May's edition of Positive Perspectives, I require a pen to make sure I stay on top of things. As we all know, I'm sure by now, I do have a tendency of utilizing this rather constantly. Sadly, it doesn't always work as well as I'd like, but what the heck. And what do we got? Rachel is in. I don't believe this. I'm really not impressed with being tired, but what the heck. This just means as soon as I get done stream, I crawl into bed again. Mind you, the reality is, with my stress slowly turning itself around, okay, I will end up landing on my feet one way or the other. Now, the nice part about all of this, okay, when we look at Laborians, understand they will back each other even if they're in the middle of a fight. These guys absolutely will drop a personal conflict in favor of protecting the clan. Or in the event that the matriarch calls them to arms, they will drop whatever they're doing and follow her. One of the most difficult things to realize is these guys don't back down. Renee, how you doing? You are in with honorable mention. Glad you could join us. And before anybody gets any bright ideas, Number one, Laborians make lousy pets and worse slaves. They have an absolute hatred of slavery, which you can bet your bottom dollar is going to cause a problem if they ever get into the area where the cartels are, because they will not work with the impurities. They are, if you will, purists. They like fresh meat. They're just not overly fussy if it's dead. Now, Cowie, best I can tell you is they jumped at least, from what I gathered from the Kamalian, they came from at least 2 wormholes away, which means I am suspecting, because I don't have a definitive, but I am suspecting they come from the far side of the Milky Way. Okay, but they came in here under duress. The Laborians did. In all fairness, the Kamalians came here under duress. They crashed. Well, that's not entirely right. They were shot down. But the Laborians are literally, they are a race that literally is they are here because they have to be. They haven't been able to get away. And since their people are so far away, calling for them is going to be a bit of a problem. Let me just make sure I did that right. This is why I write it all down. There we are. Did I do that right? Where'd it go? Hate when I do that. Where are we? Hit the wrong button and shrank it all. There we go. I was actually trying to correct a bit of spelling my hiccup. See, now the Laborians are extremely proud. Where are we here? Cowie goes in a never-ending galactic battle. Well, in a manner of speaking, the Laborians were picked up on a slave run by the Kamalians. Okay, but the Kamalians themselves fight amongst each other consistently. This is one of the reasons why I tell people that humans are not alone in this issue of being always at odds. Okay, but the Laborians, if you can control them, and Kamalians thought they had worked out that they could. Okay, problem is, because Laborian metabolics alter so drastically, one control method doesn't work for all of them. You literally have to tailor make, or more to the point, micromanage any sort of restraining collar, because their biofield fluctuates from one to the next. Unlike a human, where you can go, this is the way a human operates. You can't do that with a Laborian. Okay, the only things they seem to have in common are an extreme aggression where it comes to slavery, especially against them, and a very high bone density. Bone, muscle, skin, the whole 9 yards. It also means that when they are extremely loyal to their clan. But understand, if you can make a friend with Laborian, okay, which boils down to, doesn't mean you gotta be a major fighter. Okay, they respect people's talent for what it is. Okay, like for instance, if you happen to be an excellent doctor and you excel at your work and are, and portray yourself in a professional fashion, these guys will still look at you as though you're the cream of the crop. It's when people get moved into a position of power and they start abusing it and start trying to control people. This is what led to the collapse of the Laborian Empire in the first place, was they ended up with a matriarch that decided she was better than the rest of them. It went over like a lead balloon. But these guys are extremely difficult to kill, some of them more so than others, because some of these guys have a healing rate that makes mine look mild. Okay, and yes, I know that sounds odd, but you're looking at people, and when you take a look at the one I was referring to, and he's a male, okay, he is built, basically he's built like a freight train. And of course, because of the high density musculature, okay, his eyesight and his accuracy is even higher than normal. One of the other things we look at with Laborians, they will trade with other people, they will train with other people, but you got to get their attention. Okay, and right now that's a little difficult because my suspicion is they're only looking at about 200 left on Earth. Not 200,000, but 200. Okay, they didn't come equipped with a lot of stuff. But then they're not technically, they're not really technologically inclined. They can work with tech, but they are a much more ground-based, almost, trying to remember what the name is. They're a little more than what a farmer is. And I keep forgetting when there's a group on Earth, group of people. I don't think it's the Hutterites. There's another group. I think it's a different name. But the Laborians prefer the simple way of life. Okay. And when the Kamalians came in and took them by force, it was done via using high-tech equipment to restrain them. What you have to realize is if the Laborians had a way home, they'd go. Okay? Because this world, much as it works for them, that's the word I was looking for, LA. Thank you. Because the Laborians prefer a simpler way of life. They're not into all this technology, computers, that sort of thing. Okay? They were literally, now, are they a member of the Galactic Consortium? The answer is no. Okay, and the reason for that is they do not have a one world government. They do have a sense of unity, but they certainly don't have a one world government. Much more importantly, Laborians are not the dominant surface dwelling, technologically advanced race on their home planet. Okay, frankly, they're not technologically advanced at all. On the other hand, if you've ever seen, now the size is all wrong, but if you watch the show, sure, pull a blank. Okay, big blue guys. Okay, cannot for the life of me remember what they were called. But if you've ever watched them, Laborians are that way inclined, as in they're connected to their planet. Here, they are connected to Earth, to Isa. Okay, they understand the circle of life, and they don't handle the idea of being caged very well. Normally, I don't do this, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to go grab a little more water here. Sorry about that, guys. Usually I remember to do that. But there we go. See, I knew somebody would remember. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, if you take a look at the connection that the avatars have, the race on Avatar, on the movie Avatar, they are connected to the world, but I understand, unlike the avatars, okay, unlike them, Laborians are carnivores. Yes, they kill quick, they kill efficiently, but they are not linked the way that the ones in the movie are. The other thing you will find is that as they with Laborians, as they reach maturity, no, they are definitely not blue. Okay, they are various different colors. Okay, most of our there we are. See, somebody has like this is why I run into a problem. I know my races, the races I've run into, but when it comes to movies, I keep forgetting them. Okay, but when you take a look at Laborians, first and foremost, you're looking at various different shades, mostly browns, from white to black, hitting brown and tan in the middle. Okay, but they are quite vertical, and they will fight, think, then speak. They will fight either in the treetops or on the ground. It doesn't matter much to them which. Thing is, much as they've got the strength and way more agility than you might think, they are still ground based. These guys don't fly, but they do jump through the trees well. And I did say jump. They are not people to swing. Okay, so when you're dealing with these guys, first and foremost, you always meet them eye to eye. Because the moment you look down, you're telling them that you're not their equal. And they will capitalize on that in a hurry. Okay, now do understand when I say you look them in the eye, I don't mean lock eyes. Because the moment you lock eyes and try and stare them down, they will take that, much like house cats will. Laborians will take that as a challenge. Okay, and once they take it as a challenge, your ability to communicate with them is, to say the least, rather compromised. Weapons of choice on the whole are hand to hand. Okay, and I do literally mean they prefer working with their claws. Okay, they are certainly not above getting physically into things. Okay, and for them, it really boils down to, if they can bloodlet while they're doing it, this is just going to enhance the fight. Okay, they are not ones that will turn around and just ignore a slight. Whatever you do, they are very proud of their heritage, very proud of their homes. Therefore, making fun of it is not a good idea, or going, oh, you guys were so good at fighting, you say you're such great fighters, and yet so many of you were captured. And yeah, they were. Understand something. If mankind had the kind of weaponry that the Gamalians had, you guys wouldn't have wars either. because chameleons struck from orbit to take the Laborians out, then came down and quickly collected them. Okay, so we are talking about a race. Put a chameleon and a Laborian in single combat, the chameleon is probably dead. Okay, because chameleons didn't come from a high gravity planet. Okay, they come from essentially the same type of gravity well that we've got. Laborians are at least double our bone and muscle density. Okay. Now, one of the neat little things about the Laborian is they are quite willing to talk about their past. And I don't mean their society's past, because their society, at this point, they don't know. They've only got what's here on Earth. Thing is, the older tales tell the older tales where they actually did have a society. It was still clan based, clans being usually 30 to 50 people. Okay, but they never had the clan wars. Okay, when a clan got into conflict, and they still do it here, their lead, whoever they have put in the leadership position, not a person of proxy, the leader is sets up and goes in hand-to-hand fair combat with the other leader in order to resolve a fight. Now, the ironic part here is they use a fight to end the fight, but very seldom will a clan war of that caliber end up in a death. One of the nicest parts about these people is they care for their young more so than most other races, because for the first 2 years they are not functionally capable of taking care of themselves. But the younglings don't leave. They don't leave the pride until they are at least 30 to 40. I was going to say 30 to 40. Really, you're looking at somewhere around 5 years old at most. But we're talking 5 of their years. Okay. Now, that being said, on Earth, where are we? $365 times 5. Okay. In Terran terms, a youngling of the Laborians will live at home for the first 1,800 years. Okay. At about that point, they will find a mate and take off and go and start their own clan. And yes, there may be more that usually mating takes place between clans to avoid genetic hiccups. But understand something. Once they have a pride established, they may pick up wanderers, people that have walked away from their own clan for one reason or another. With this in mind, the clans themselves will then determine why did you leave, and if they agree, if they feel it was okay, then they'll take them on. They'll bring them into their pride. This is how they ensure that they don't, and that the Laborians don't end up with a compromised genetic pool. Now, here's the interesting thing. On their home world, like I said, they average 1 to 2 kids. Okay, but they have been known to end up giving birth to up to 8. Now, here's the thing that you're not likely going to comprehend or going to like. If there is a food shortage, then, yeah, you guessed it, they will take anything over the two children. They will take, if there's 6 kids in a family, the Laborian Council, the clan council, will take children from a large family. Okay, not as recompense, not as punishment, but literally as food. Whether they're healthy or not is not the relevant concern. They look at the age bracket. Okay, and usually that means they take out the middle ones. But here's the thing. They take them out for the purpose of maintaining the family, of maintaining the clan. So when you start looking at it, you got to realize they protect their clan with everything they've got. If there is no functional threat, then they step back into the shadows. Males, on the whole, take care of the hunting, okay, and the major building. The females take care of societal decisions, if you will, city layout, that sort of thing. They are also the teachers, not the physical protectors. So we are talking about a race that is very well balanced. And amongst the family, it depends entirely on the family. But bearing in mind it's a matriarchal society, the matriarch, the mother, is the one that lays down house and yard rules. She's the one that says, here's what we gotta do to get ahead. And she is the one that not only deals with the political side, but with the healing side. Males are your physical protectors, and they know it. Okay, yes, it's funny, when you think about it. The kids are considered the gold of the society. And it has been known, and we are down to 15 minutes, it has been known quite consistently for one male to visit multiple clans and father multiple kids. But the kids go home, in that case, the kids go home with the male. Okay, or more to the point, the male kids, when they go out and have children, okay, the males are brought back with the father. The females are raised by their birth mother and left there. Okay, the father can lays no claim. But that said, as the other males come of age, they are entitled to go out and have their own kids. Now, it is absolutely not unheard of. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Well, as the saying goes, better late than never. In all fairness, I was supposed to be on earlier tonight, but family responsibilities got in the way. So, as I've always held, family first, work second, and entertainment third. Now, oddly enough, I consider this a kind of work. And the reality of it is, because of that, I'm starting to make things happen. Okay, net result, I am pulling together new little booklets and pushing to get certain other ones finished. With the way that the Laborians operate, it is fascinating to find out that they still haven't removed the invasion. They still haven't removed the problem children from their own world. But you got to realize they do not have anywhere near what humans have. Of course, when you look at that little problem, you got to realize their world, number one, it's not just the animals that are dangerous. Okay, many of the plants are deadly. But, and we'll get to we'll get to this next part on another day. But I will tell you, there are planets where the plants are more deadly than the mobile things. Okay, the other interesting little tidbit I came across is there are certain races that work out well, and the Laborians did find out something intriguing. Okay, on one planet, way out in the middle of nowhere, it's a fringe planet. Okay, but they literally all over the world are the econ. Now, Laborians are very fond of econ, as an appetizer goes. Okay, but what you got to realize is the econ are absolutely naturally prolific. The Laborians, on the other hand, poetically mistaken. How you doing? Glad you could join us. The Laborians will defend their clan without hesitation. Okay, and if there is a treaty between clans, which does happen, then both clans will defend the territory of both clans. Okay, in this way, they manage to ensure other people survive. Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well. I am definitely going to have to do something about my patterns. But when we take a look at the Laborians, understand they are a very proud people. Insulting them is probably not a good idea because sadly they really do have a definitive temper and no compunction about killing due to it. But most of the animals on their planet are volatile. Okay, as in they will kill in a heartbeat. The Laborians themselves would rather walk away from a fight, but rest assured, if they cannot walk away, then you better be prepared. If you're dealing with them, you gotta realize you're either going to talk amicably with them or you're going to create an extra problem. And they won't deal on an amicable fashion. They will if it starts out that way, but they do not slow down. You'll also find that on top of not relying on technology, they actively avoid it. They're not afraid of it, but they absolutely avoid major technological adjustments. This is the only reason, well, the primary reason they are not the spokespeople for their world. Okay, it's not they can't speak. It's they do not understand the deceptiveness of most legal agencies. Now, will they ally themselves with other people? Certainly. But they're more inclined to ally themselves with felinoids. Okay. And the neat part I always look at is this. These guys, if they can grab the time to do it, in the middle of a fight, the Laborians will stop and talk to at least get a baseline run of what your leader is up to. Now understand, they are not actually planning any sort of invasion. They're just trying to get the ground rules sorted out. Now, I gotta see. I should have done it. Get that out of the way. Oh, of course, it's written down. But, oh, I know what we're doing there. What we're looking at here with the Laborians is if you want to talk to somebody that knows fitness, that would be these guys. The intriguing part about it is they will use their claws quite readily for combat or climbing. Now, that's one thing about their uniforms. Okay, and I don't have that picture done yet. With Laborians, they avoid unless they are working directly in what they know is a hazardous environment. They wear absolutely no handwear and no footwear. Okay, reason for that is they have built-in weaponry. Okay, hopefully that makes sense from your guys' standpoint. Now, the nice part about it, I've had these conversations with the Laborians as well. And as you guys have asked, yeah, the biggest threat that you've got is that they may run out of supplies sooner than later. The one thing you got to remember is don't corner them. Now, because they are in the consortium's area of life, there are ways of helping them once they find a new planet. Okay, and that is they simply have to be given the freedom to govern themselves their way. Rest assured, outside of their clan, they will behave according to the laws that are laid out outside. You know, the fact you got to remember is they don't have anything against humans. They have something against stupidity and slavery. So what we're looking at is a world where these guys, you likely will never see them. If you do, consider it a blessing. But they hide in the shadows because they're more comfortable there. And let's face it, if we're looking at only on Earth, about 250,000 just blew up and just lost where I was going. They've got about a population of a whopping 200 to 250,000 people. Okay, but they stay within their own clan area. They will expand it as they go. Don't kid yourself. But never will they expand it to take over or to block off another race's efforts at colonizing the area. Hopefully that makes sense. One of the things we got to keep in mind is if a Laborian decides he wants to do something, they don't succumb to peer pressure. Okay, they don't. The only thing they succumb to is military guidance. Okay, but the ones that you're looking at, number one, still have full operational capacity. Okay, and number two, have this idea that they are doing what they're supposed to. So talking them out of it may be problematic. Now, I do believe, and I keep forgetting to write this down. Let me just take a look at that. I just got to take a look at what we are actually dealing with tomorrow. I think I ended up writing it down over here. Okay. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. I just didn't put it on this calendar. So, first and foremost, we are down to the 5-bin, which is great. With that in mind, tomorrow we are, and I've got to get it laid out and we'll do that, but tomorrow we're going to take a serious look at what we are doing, how we have streamlined the number of books that we're working on so we can start getting them turned out. Okay. And yes, we will be discussing what the main ones are, because we got a lot of overlap going on. And it's time to clear things off the deck. With this in mind, okay, and I suspect the best way to put this is probably something to the effect of writing projects and their organization. Okay, we will deal with that tomorrow. But for tonight, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate the support I've been getting. It's been absolutely priceless. Now, with that in mind, what have we got here? Well, there we are. With that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. That'll be 9:30 Pacific. Okay. But until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes,